If women ran things, if women were in charge, if women had the power, it would be different.
Have you ever found yourself in a situation at work or at a store where you've thought, gee, I really wish the people here were just a little bit more female? We all have, right? No. When I'm in line at the vehicle registration office or DMV or the store, I want things to be handled as quickly and as efficiently as possible. I don't want people put in positions of power or authority simply because they happen to be women. I think most of us have the idea that we would like our society to function as a meritocracy. We would like to see the most talented, most skilled, and best people rise to the top, regardless of intersectionality or identity categories. This is generally what I think, although there are some problems with that idea, which we can talk about later. But the left, by comparison, doesn't care about the idea of meritocracy at all. We know this because of their obsession with putting people in powerful roles simply based on identity characteristics. How many posts, articles, and tweets have you seen about getting more African Americans into film, getting more transgender people into upper corporate management, and getting more women into engineering, etc.? The left opposes meritocracy because they know that if there is true competition for roles and power in a vacuum, absent SJW mobs and leftist media pressure, more often than not, the most successful people will be straight white males. And as we know, the straight white male is the apotheosis of what the left is seeking out to destroy and marginalize. So, we'll touch on these issues and more in today's video, which extols the virtue of getting more women into politics. I'm anxious to hear what rationale they have for getting more women in politics. How could they be better than men? How could they be more competent? Well, you know, bigot, their 2 X chromosomes means they're naturally just better than you. I'm a woman. What's your superpower? All of this ridiculousness and more ahead in today's video. But first, a word about your online privacy and security. Last month, Facebook suffered one of their biggest data breaches yet, as hackers made off with the sensitive information of approximately 30 million users, contact info, phone numbers, email addresses, hometowns, current cities, birth dates, device types, and more. This was the information that hackers gathered and stole by exploiting a breach in Facebook's security protocols. You want to stay safe online? Be smart about what you post, obviously, but you need to take your personal internet protection to the next level by using a VPN or virtual private network. Prevent yourself from falling victim to hackers on public Wi-Fi or shady websites that log and store your info by using Virtual Shield, one of the easiest to use and fastest VPNs in the world. They have a strict no-log policy that means your personal info and browsing history isn't being stored anywhere. You have the right to total and complete privacy. This month, Virtual Shield is offering 25% off VPN plans and all premium add-ons, including Protection Plus, residential access, monthly maintenance, phone support, and more for as low as $3 a month. And don't forget about IdentiSafe, which allows you to block microphone and camera access from unwanted spies and hackers. If you don't want entities public or private watching and listening, IdentiSafe is for you. VirtualShield.com/allsup. Check it out today. They're the only VPN that I trust.
If women ran things, if women were in charge, if women had the power, it would be different. Things would be better. We'd all be better.
Women's good, women's smart, women's help everybody. Seriously, if anybody's compelled by this, I want you to go down to your local polling place, get your ballot, tear it in half, and then request yourself to be removed from the voter rolls, because you're clearly below the intellectual threshold necessary to participate in politics. But as I always say, as much as it pains me, let's see where they go with this.
We'd all be better off if women made the decisions. Well, you know what? Good news, Nevada. You're up. On November 6th, Nevada has a real chance to become the first state in history to elect a majority women legislature. That is a huge deal, like a really, really big deal. No state or national law in this country has ever been passed by a legislature that represented women equally.
For obvious reasons, I try to avoid watching ESPN as much as possible. The only sports I watch anymore are college football games sometimes and the Seattle Mariners from April until the All-Star break, when they inevitably fall apart and fall out of playoff contention. But one of the things they do in sports media is they try to have every play be historic in some way, right? Like when you're watching on TV and someone catches a touchdown pass, the announcers will be like, wow, you know, this is only the second time in Dallas Cowboys history when a left-handed receiver has caught a touchdown pass in the third quarter with less than a minute 30 to play while playing in Dallas against the Detroit Lions. You know, not everything has to be historic, sportscasters. Just enjoy the game and stop ruining it with this weird trivia. Her diatribe there reminded me of that, because it isn't really clear what she's trying to say. Has there ever been a state legislature that's been majority women? There certainly hasn't been a U.S. Congress that's been majority women, I know that, but her last statement there doesn't exactly make things clear. And if there has been, like she seems to be implying, that woman-dominated body hasn't passed any laws. I thought women were supposed to be great at getting along and working together for everyone's benefit. But it sounds to me like this lady is saying that previous women-dominated legislatures haven't been very effective. Also, she's talking about representing women equally, in her words, equally. If you wanted to equally represent men and women, wouldn't you then want a 50-50 gender split? A majority women legislature isn't equal, is it? It's biased in favor of women. I'm under no illusion that she actually wants equality, just so you know. I know that when Black Lives Matter or La Raza talk about racial issues, they aren't talking about equality either. They're talking about power and victory. This is a common trick the left uses. They'll talk about equality, when actually they just mean that their identity group wins and gets whatever they want. In this case, it's in regard to men, but you see this with regard to racial minorities and white people quite a bit too.
Think about that. No law regarding equal pay, maternity leave, sexual harassment in the workplace, contraception, not a single state law regarding women's health, women's rights, or women's bodies has ever been passed by a women-led legislature.
But if this legislature controlled by women's does happen to come into power, which they probably won't, then won't they be making laws about men's bodies? They'll be the ones funding state construction projects, which directly put men in harm's way. They'll be the ones making rules about farming and ranching, which will disproportionately affect men. They'll be writing policies that regulate the state's gambling industry, another industry that is dominated by men. If you're really all about gender equality, you would again want a 50-50 male-female split, but I don't think we need that. Here's where I will disagree with quite a few other YouTubers that do videos about feminism and gender politics, especially the MGTOWs. I don't think there necessarily has to be a schism between men and women. I don't think men and women should be each other's enemies. Throughout history, we've worked together for common goals. Men and women are designed to be partners, each serving distinct roles in the family and society. No one benefits when men and women are fighting against one another. Women may think they benefit, and in the short term they might, by winning elections, etc., but that's not going to bring happiness or satisfaction to most women. Men are naturally more suited for contentious jobs like politics. Being a politician often requires long days at the office and on the road, with lots of meetings and events, and that can be extremely stressful for a woman, especially a woman with children. Men are also naturally more aggressive, which in theory makes them more effective at fighting for their constituents' interests. The idea that women know better than men about issues that affect women may or may not be true, but we don't make laws for subsects of the population. We make laws to govern the behavior of all members of our society. For example, a majority of women may want the ability to murder their child at 19 weeks pregnant, but men get a say too, because we're also in the country. We're one country. It's not the divided gender states of Womenistan. It's America. So deal with it, lady.
But that could change on November 6th. That's because more than ever, women are stepping up. They're taking action. They're running for office all over Nevada. And they are winning. Women won a record number of state primaries in June, and now they're looking to make history in Carson City. But they can only do it if we step up too, ladies. Because whether Nevada has a state house that's mostly women, it could come down to just a few key races. So make your voice loud and heard. Go to the polls on November 6th.
Okay, the women presenting this video are named Kelly Rowland and Tracy Ellis Ross. Are these celebrities? Like, should I know who these people are? Are these like NPC heroes or something? I didn't know, so I Googled it. Kelly Rowland is a singer, and she's from Atlanta, Georgia. I scoured her Wikipedia page and couldn't find any connection to the state of Nevada. And Tracy Ellis Ross, the daughter of Diana Ross and Robert Ellis Silberstein, was born in Los Angeles and apparently lives in New York. So yeah, neither one of these people has any connection at all to Nevada. Neither of them will be in any way impacted by the decisions of the Nevada State House or Senate. But we're starting to see this push from pop media outlets, including now this. They're making these little info videos targeting specific states and trying to get out the vote in those swing states. They're using what you could ostensibly call celebrities, including these two ladies, to do it. Now, I'm not going to attack them on that strategy because obviously I talk about elections and issues that don't directly impact me all the time. It's totally fair. That's sort of the nature of mass media and especially the internet. But I do think it's indicative of the Democrat Party and the left's total lack of substance. Their video in total was about 90 seconds long. 90 seconds is a ton of time in political advertising. You're lucky to get people to pay attention for 15 seconds, much less 90. And in those 90 seconds, what did they do? How did they use their time? Did they make an argument for why women would be better? Did they make the case that women would actually be better legislators? No, they just appealed to the identity group they're targeting, in this case, women. It's easy for us over here with our big brains to chuckle smugly and taunt them for their lack of reason, logic, facts, and evidence. That's all well and good. From an analytical perspective, you're right. But we can't escape the fact that these people, in their ridiculousness, have actually stumbled on a piece of political wisdom. They've recognized that in a democracy, voter turnout is key. And in a multiracial, multi-ethnic democracy with deep societal rifts between men and women, you're going to have to laser focus in on exactly the demographics you want to turn out to vote, while attempting to demoralize groups that you don't want to turn out. Logic, facts, reason, evidence, and argumentation don't matter so much anymore, unfortunately. What matters is turning out your base. The left does this pretty well with appeals to identity politics. The run-of-the-mill leftist feels like he or she is in it, fighting for their people by casting a ballot for Democrats. Their people could be blacks, could be women, could be Hispanics or Asians or transgender people, it doesn't matter. The left has used intersectionality to light a fire under their constituency and motivate them to get out there and be a part of the struggle. Meanwhile, on the right, for the longest time, people haven't felt like they're part of a society-defining struggle. They come out to vote for low taxes, yay, or repealing Obamacare, woohoo. But that's changing. See, identity politics are on the rise, and once that genie is let out of the bottle, you cannot put it back in. People are beginning to question why some groups are allowed to practice identity politics, while other groups are chastised and lambasted and called evil, horrible, mean names when they practice identity politics. The left is going to start realizing that by uncorking the identity politics bottle, they've walked themselves into a predicament. As American politics become more contentious, either everyone will have to be allowed to play identity politics, or no one will. And given the trajectory we're on, I don't see the latter happening anytime soon.